Dan and Amy, so special prosecutor appointed in the Laquan McDonald, Jason Van Dyke case, and we're now joined by Dan Herbert, who is a criminal defense attorney representing former Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke in the Laquan McDonald shooting case. Dan, thanks so much for joining us again. We appreciate it.
Morning, guys.
So your reaction to the judge's decision to appoint the special prosecutor?
Well, not a surprise whatsoever. In light of the fact that the state's attorney recused herself last month, there was absolutely no decision but to appoint a special prosecutor. So essentially granting the motion for the special prosecutor was kind of a moot point at that point.
So you feel your client, though, has been overcharged, and you said so in court yesterday, because this is clearly, I mean, in my estimate, it's not a first-degree murder case.
It's ridiculous that we're looking at a first-degree murder. This was a tragedy. It was not a murder. My client was charged with first-degree murder because he basically was used as a pawn by essentially two politicians. One politician buried this video to help his reelection, and that caused this fury and public outcry. And then another politician in a runoff was concerned about a certain population's vote, and she overcharged us with the anticipation that it would help her with their election. And in fact, it did the very opposite.
Now, there was also a petition to appoint another special prosecutor to investigate other Chicago police officers who were at the scene of the Laquan McDonald shooting and whose written reports differ from what the police dash cam video showed. But the judge said in his best President Obama impersonation that petition was not yet shovel ready, quote unquote. What is the nature of that kind of separate investigation and potential prosecution?
Well, we know that it's been reported that the federal government is investigating those other police officers. I don't know the status of that investigation. I don't think anyone does, except for the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI. But I think the judge did the right thing in that case yesterday. It's an unusual motion, and he is going to make sure that his ruling complies with the law.
So where does it go from here? Does Lisa Madigan's office, if they pass on the case, then do they have to reach out to the Illinois Appellate Prosecutor's Office? Yes,
and that's what I understand with it. Again, we didn't have much of a challenge to this, so our response has been somewhat tepid on it because we truly don't care who is on the other side. Although I think that I'm hoping that we get a prosecutor that recognizes the ridiculous nature of this charge and realizes that it's not a first-degree murder case. But, yeah, my understanding is it will go, the Attorney General will be given the opportunity to try this case. If their office passes, then it will go through a series of other prosecutors throughout the state. And I understand if they pass, then a private lawyer can be appointed as a special prosecutor.
What do you anticipate to be the timeline here in terms of this moving from where we are today to an actual trial?
Slow. I
mean, are we talking about years? Or are we talking about this will happen I know this is guesstimating, but do you expect this to go to trial before the year's out, or are we talking about this is going to be into 17 and 18?
I would suspect. I mean, it's unusual because we could probably have all the discovery completed within a couple of months, would be my guess, which means that we would be ready to set it down for motions. But with this dragging out, I don't think there's any chance that we are going to proceed to trial anywhere close to 2016. I'm sure we're going to be dragging into 2017. I don't see a reason why it would go beyond that.
And please excuse my ignorance, but who asked for it? Do you want a bench trial? Do you want a jury trial? And do you want it to stay in Cook County, or what's going to happen?
We're certainly going to explore the option of a change of venue. We have to wait until it gets closer to trial time so that the issue is ripe. But as far as it being a bench or jury, we haven't made that decision yet. Me and my trial partner certainly have ideas that we've discussed with our client. And depending on where we're at when we get closer to trial, that's going to impact our decision.
We're talking to Dan Herbert. He's the attorney for Jason Van Dyke in the Laquan McDonald shooting case. And the Fraternal Order of Police took some heat for hiring Jason Van Dyke on a kind of an hourly basis to do some work while he awaits trial, since he's otherwise effectively unemployable at this juncture. And I wonder where that stands in terms of his employment and kind of where things stand with Jason Van Dyke personally as well as professionally.
I think he's still working for the union. I'm not even sure about that, but I know it's a struggle for him, even if when he was working for the union, assuming that he's not anymore. I think he was doing part-time janitorial work. Right. So this guy, part of the tragedy, when I talk about this case being a tragedy, it's a tragedy on a bunch of different levels. But, Jason Van Dyke, for his actions, which at the worst, I think you could look at it and say that, perhaps he made a mistake. And as a result of, at the very worst, a mistake, this guy, he can't get a job anywhere. He is absolutely unemployable, and it's pretty unfair.
Are they still getting death threats?
You know what? They're somewhat constant. They certainly have become less frequent, but things pick up when it comes closer to the court date. So it's still happening. I think to a lesser degree, but certainly any death threat is significant.
All right, Dan Herbert, criminal defense attorney for Jason Van Dyke in the Laquan McDonald case. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.